Well, what I also want to ask is, so one of the reasons I asked the question about, like, with your background and, like, I guess the connections in the industries that you've worked in, I have to imagine you've watched a lot of the downfall of what's happened in media very, very firsthand. Like, as you put it, 19, you were hired to work for MTV, and it's been a string of different companies in media since then. So, like, when I hear this from you, it's going to carry a little bit more weight than someone who's like just commenting as an outsider.
Um, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that have happened in the world of entertainment. I mean, just like a ton of them. And it's interesting too because I had a manager for a while, and honestly, she was now looking back, she was playing the game like she had been given the rule book, the modern day rule book of what they are now calling woke society. Um, I'm 41, but I am one of the original social justice warriors when there was a need. There was a long time when nobody was fucking pointing to how despicable we were behaving and so many different things. And it's so funny now because our despicable behavior has been obscured by like that guy's being mean to me on the internet. And like the whole point of me pointing out the fucking despicable behavior, what we were doing to the Indians, what we were doing to the blacks, what we were doing to everybody in the fucking world was so that we would do something about that. And instead it's just become like an excuse to rage bait. And I'm too much of an intellectual to play that fucking game. So I pulled myself out of what was happening in entertainment and in general because I was pissing people off. I was just sort of like, nah, man, it's a nuanced conversation. Nah, man, it's a nuanced conversation. And basically, nobody will argue with me because I am a celebutant. I'm in the celebrity system already as far as they're concerned. They don't know who I know. They don't know, what power I might have. And unfortunately, everybody in the system is just superficial and fucking skittish and shit. Um, I like, I'm reluctantly in the entertainment business. I'm a comic book writer. I'm a musician. I've never signed with any of the major labels. I don't trust them. Every single time I've tried to get to one of these major labels, they've basically wanted to turn me into Bon Jovi. And I'm like, no, I'm a freedom fighter. That's like, I don't write love songs. That's not my thing. I mean, I write love songs sometimes, but that's not my focus. And they want to make me sexy and like, no, 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 no. That's really the opposite of what I'm going for here. So coming up in the business, I've really been an outlier, but I have watched um, it's a complete. This is a lack of a better word, but this is what they did to the Soviet Union. They come in and they try to terraform the culture. And they've done this through DEI. DEI is diversity, inclusion, and equity. Um, I am a non-binary, fucking non-normal man who wants everybody to be fucking accept and be able to do whatever the fuck they want on planet Earth. However, I am not some pushy, whiny bitch like these idiots that they have fucking online spouting all the thing. It's literally designed to divide us. In X, they've had us in rooms where we would be fighting with each other. They call them rooms. They're separating the people who might agree, and into little rooms where we can all fucking bite each other's faces off. It's literally awful.
Well, much like yourself, I've always considered myself a leftist. Like, I've only ever voted for one guy for president, was Ralph Nader. So it's like I'm an environmentalist.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the Green Party shit, and yeah, I love Bernie Sanders. I believe that he believes in what he's talking about. It's like anything we can agree upon as a group, can work as a society. It's just like nothing works if we're just constantly at each other's throats.
fighting each other.
Yeah, and it's so terrible because there's so many things that we're so lined up on, and it's like, I do this show called Everything They Don't Want You to Know, and we were just talking about vibration and polarity in the past two episodes, and the law of polarity. We're living in a polarized mind that is all one thing, but one thing distributed in many different ways, and we're all vibrating, and a vibration is a move from there to there, and what's that? It's a swing, and wise people understanding this would be leading us from the center, bringing us the most centrist lefty and the most centrist righty, and making progress from the middle. But the wise people do know this, and they've instead chosen to lead us from the extremes on either side, which is a recipe for civil war and disaster, any way you look at it. So there's just like this complete intellectual disconnect going on. And I like really peeled out. Like I realized at a certain point, I wasn't getting jobs because I knew too much. It's funny. I've done very little hosting on television in the comic book world, even though I've done fucking cosplay contests and Hall A panels and every other fucking thing, whether it's Chris Claremont or Avery Brooks or whoever it might be, like the biggest people in fucking geek culture. But in Hollywood, when I would get in there, it would sort of be like, this guy knows more than me. Get him out of here. So I would be advised by agents to, like pretend like you don't really like know anything. So I would go in and I would like keep it buttoned up. And there was this crazy culture change where they would start, there's a lady who tells a great story. And I had a similar one. I'm forgetting both of the stories, but it was something like, I remember being asked a question about like sort of Batman and like, like why he was a bad guy. And like, I was sort of like, what are you smoking? Like what do we do? I thought this was an anti-comic book show?
I mean, I personally have issues with Batman, but I'm sure they're not the issues she had. I'm a hardcore libertarian, so the surveillance stuff always weirds me out, but that's never what they're pissed about.
But this change has been going on for a while. And prior to this, there was some legitimate change that needed to be made. Guys like Ike Perlmutter, who, is maybe not as black a devil as he be painted, but people like him were like, girls don't sell. Nobody wants a girl toy. Nobody wants a black toy. That's not always true, and you do have to take risks sometimes. And Black Panther proves that wrong, and Black Widow proves that wrong. However, as a generality, there was.
Well, Ike Perlmutter was also the one trying to make Black Panther for years as a movie. Originally, it was Wesley Snipes, so he knows.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So, like the way they've painted him as a bad guy, it's like he was a part of a system that was operating a certain way, and in general, you found that as a writer from a young age, you saw people, they didn't really love it if your lead was a girl. They didn't really want your lead to be multiracial. They wanted a white male lead. That was definitely something that was happening. The overcorrection that has taken place since then is all because of DEI, which is much more tyrannical than an avoidance of your lead being, multiracial or a woman. Now there's rules. And the moment rules are put in place, a pattern emerges. People don't like patterns in their entertainment. The moment you can predict what is happening, like this is why Furiosa just bombed, because the audience just seeing the trailer said, I predict this entire film. And they didn't go to see it. And they were probably wrong. Like I saw it with my kid. We really liked Furiosa a lot. But
I heard a lot of people did.
Yeah, but it's gotten to a point where the cyclical nature of these DEI points being the fingerprints being on everything we want. And I mean, the audience is just keying out.
I always tell people when I remember when Jessica Jones first came out, that first season I loved. I was a fan. I'd never heard of Jessica Jones. I got into Coast of Marvel and I fell in love. And then that second season, they came at men so hard. I think I stopped watching in episode 3, never picked it up ever again, because it's like, you can't attack me personally every episode and expect me to continue watching. And eventually I just stopped watching Marvel altogether.
You know what? You got there faster than me. Now that you say this, I'm remembering something. And I realized that my vitriol towards She-Hulk was pent up frustration for the second season of Jessica Jones. Because I felt the same way watching. I love Alias. Alias is one of my favorite fucking books of all time. And I remember watching the second season of fucking Alias going, I made you, you motherfucker. This thing is a fucking thing because I fucking went to the comic book store every fucking month and I bought a copy of this fucking book and I told people to read it. And now you're sitting here using it to tell me that because I have a dick, I'm some fucking stupid thing. Fuck you, book. Like nothing makes me more upset than having talking to the people who fucking built the building and telling us that we are shitty. Like, fuck you guys. Get the hell out of my fandom.
I always go back to, they're telling us we have no strong female characters. And I'll be honest, my favorite comic book character of the 90s was Tank Girl. Tank Girl was the most fun thing I'd ever seen in my life. So it's like, you're coming at me. And like you said, we helped build this thing. We helped make these women characters powerful. We helped give them a place. And then you pretend that, like, oh, we're the enemy now. It's like, well, okay, you treat me the enemy, I'll be the enemy then. That's what we can do.
Well, people don't realize that these are periodicals too. Like Tank Girl doesn't exist just for a moment. She exists in the cosmos of comics. Storm exists all time. Like, it's, you look at comics and there's a shitload of powerful females. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you smoking? This is insane talk.